Hey YouTube, welcome back to Red Moon Cards. It's been a little while. Sorry we had some family emergencies take place that precluded me from being able to record, but I had an opportunity to get online tonight, and we have our last, I know I've said this before, but our actual last PSA return has come in. All of these were previously submitted and we were waiting on them to trickle in. We have not submitted any submissions into PSA since we got the real shady one about 3 or 4 submissions back. Since then, we had another real shady submission. We had a decent submission after that, not terrible. I think our gem rate was like 30% or something like that. And I've already looked at these, spoiler alert. There's a couple issues in here that I definitely want to bring up and get your all's take on. So please like, comment, share, subscribe, and please leave comments. I'm really interested in the viewers' feedback on kind of our assessment of what's going on here. Because I've had conversations with many others in the hobby, a couple different card store owners, people who are very well versed in this kind of material, and they're coming up with the same kind of issues that I am. So I have a Pokemon stack here, a sports stack here. We'll go ahead and slide the Pokemon stack off to the side, and we'll go with sports to start. As I said before, I have already looked at these, so not really a surprise to me, but will be a surprise to you guys. So first up, we have Skybox Peyton Manning. Let me get a little bit more light on here. There we go. This is a really nice card. We got Skybox Peyton Manning. 1999, apologize. This one's going in the PC. It's just a really cool card, not super expensive. I think it's like a $30 card or something like that in a PSA 9. But this one's for the PC, so not really super concerned about getting the 10 on this one, just wanted to get it encapsulated. Really nice card there. All right, here's where we start seeing some of the problems. Not huge issues here, but wasn't really worth sending in. So the all etch, Caleb Williams. From 2024 Topps Chrome, came back as a PSA 8. This is one of those cards where if you send it in and it gets a 10, then it's worth it because you can turn around and you know, 3-4 extra money. If it gets a 9, you're basically, it's the raw price, and if it gets an 8, you lost money. And this in an 8 really sells for basically just at raw is $15 card. There's a minor little thing, and that might just be some card gunk on that corner there. But other than that, centering's off a little bit, maybe pulls to the right, but I still believe it's within that 60-40 range. The center on the front is really hard to kind of ascertain because there's no border. So, like I said, not a huge issue with that one, but questionable. Here's the Caleb Williams Youthquake from 2024 Topps. This one got a PSA 9. No surface issues as I can see here. I know Chrome cards aren't the easiest to get 10s on because the imperfections show. But like I said, it's just a 9, so that could be as easy as the centering. Joe Green from 2024 Topps Chrome. This one's numbered to 99. This is a pop 1, actually. I thought this was a really cool card. Joe Green's a huge piece of the Steelers history. My wife is a Steelers fan, so I just thought this was a really neat card. PSA 10, not hugely expensive. I think this one goes for maybe $25-30. It wasn't really worth getting graded to resell. I just thought it was a neat card, and this one will probably go in the PC just as a cool piece of, history. All right, this one card right here probably saved the entire submission. Just to let you guys know, this submission was approximately $350. to get back from grading. So here we have from 2024 Absolute, we have the Drake May Red Squares, numbered to $4.99. This card sells for roughly around $200 in a PSA 10, which we got. So this one single-handedly saved the submission, because if this had not been a 10, we would have been in big trouble. So big save there. Now we've got JJ McCarthy 2024 Absolute. This is just the base card with the blue the blue variation, blue foil, PSA 10. This one goes for about $40. And then we have the same card, blue variation, in a 9, goes for about $15. All right, now, this is where we really start to see some of the discrepancies here, guys. Okay? Can't really complain too much about 9s, because that could just be a centering issue. That could be a minor imperfection here or there. So, but it makes a big difference when it makes a difference if the card's worth it or not worth it to send. So here we have the Curlia illustration rare from, I don't even know what set this is from. I'll be totally candid with you. But PSA 9, it's about a $30 card in a 9. You know, if you include the $20 grading fee per card, it's almost not worth it to send. So then we've got the Don Donzo illustration rare, Donzo. Also PSA 9. This is about a $15 card in a 9. And this, I believe, is a centering, pulls to the left a little bit, but I mean, it's minor. I don't see any significant issues, at all on the corners, but the centering is off somewhat on the back. So, all right. Sizor, PSA 8. I believe this one's from Obsidian Flame. This is a $10 card, graded in an 8. I think raw, it's basically a $10 card. So this one we lost money on. There is a tiny white speck right there on the corner. But, I mean, other than that, centering looks fairly good on the front and the back. So, PSA 8. Charizard from Evolutions, Charizard EX. PSA 8. This one's a $30 card in an 8. And the only issue that I could see was that little bit of whitening. And it's not even really whitening, because if you look at the card from straight up and down, there's no whitening. It's really just if you're looking at it from the white side. I mean, is that right there? You can't even see it under the camera, so I would venture to say no. I'll be honest with you, I pulled this card probably in 2018, and it sat in a top loader for the last 6 years. No scratches or print lines, so yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that, but that's a $30 card. Then we have the Ralts in a PSA 8. This is about a $25 card. Again, centering looks fairly good. Maybe a little white dimple down in that corner, possibly. Centering does pull a little bit to the left on the back, so 8, we go there. PSA 10 for the Pikachu VMAX from Lost Origin, the gold card, Trainer Gallery. This one is a $60 card in PSA 10, so that's about as best you can do there. Slowpoke illustration rare, PSA 8. This one's a $15 card. The center was a little bit worse off on this one, pulls to the right. As you can see, there's a, let's see, right down there. And the same, so it pulls to the left on the back. So that's a point off right there. And it does have, I noticed, a white dot there and a little tiny white dot there. So this one I can't argue too much with. This one I have a problem with. Mainly because in a PSA 6, this Deerling card is basically garbage. Throw it in the trash now. When I picked these up from my local card shop, we had a little laugh about this one once we looked at them because we couldn't find anything wrong with this at all. And typically, anything less than a PSA 8 or PSA 7 denotes some sort of significant issue with the card. You know, you can add up degradation and get to a PSA 7. If you're off-centered, you've got some minor issues like whitening in the corners or the edges, maybe a print line. If all those things added up together, can get you down to a 7. Beyond a 7, there's got to be some sort of like bend or crease or scratch, something that degrades the card further, and we couldn't find anything. In a 10, this is a $150 card. In a 6 is a worthless card. So we're going to look at it again. And I see no issues on the front, at least the front half, bottom half of the card. I'm trying to get it all. Yeah, see, no scratches or surface issues. Centering on this card is pretty damn good. I mean, it's definitely within the 60-40. Definitely within the 60-40 on the front and on the back. No whitening in the corners. No dimples. That might be a little something on the side. Right there. Okay, so it's a 9, if that is. This is exactly what I'm talking about, guys. None of the cards in this submission were super expensive. Had they have gotten a 10, I mean, don't get me wrong. If they all got 10s, it would have been a really good submission. You know, I would have been able to turn, you know, the cost of $350 into a $1,000 return if they all got 10s. That being said, none of the cards in this submission were super rare, super expensive. So when you do a submission with lower end cards like that, getting more 10s really helps justify the submission. And when you get 6s on ultra modern cards, that it's just ridiculous. And you know, I've said this before in other videos, I just can't justify using PSA anymore. Because it doesn't make any sense. There doesn't seem to be any standard. There doesn't seem to be any justification as to why they're giving the grades they give. That being said, there is absolutely no reason that any ultra-modern card shouldn't get at least an 8, in my opinion, without there being some significant issue with the card. So, there's that 6. And then we've got, this one I just thought was cool. I would consider this an error card, and I would have thought that PSA, well, I don't know why I thought this, because PSA is a joke. But I would have thought that PSA would have had a little bit more leeway, common sense, and, I mean, a sense of humor for that matter. But this is the Magikarp base from Pokemon Go. I pulled this one out of a pack, and it's got the crimp line all the way across the top. Wasn't crimped into the pack. It just has the crimp line all the way across the top. So I figured, hey, I'm going to submit this, and, you know, maybe they'll put it'll get encapsulated, and they'll put like an error crimp or something like that on the tag. No, they didn't. They treated it as a damaged card, and gave it a 4 because they're idiots. And this is why they're losing business and people are getting pissed off with them, because obviously I didn't send this in to get a 4. I would have been extraordinarily happy if they would have just authenticated it and put, you know, error crimp or something like that on this, not a 4. But that's PSA for you. They seem to be out to screw most people. So yeah, PSA no longer going to be grading with them. Still going to be grading with our local card store because those guys are awesome. Huge shout out to Palmetto Cards in Lexington, South Carolina. Not a whole lot of good stuff in these guys, but if there's, out of these 2 stacks, I will throw the Joe Green on here just because if somebody's interested. But if there's anything in here that you guys would like, please let me know. Some of these other Pokemon cards I will be cracking the slabs on and sending them off to tag. And then some of these other sports cards I'm either going to be using as giveaways in future YouTube videos, which we just need to get our viewership up, get more subscribers before we start doing giveaways, just to make it worthwhile for the people who are entering the giveaways. Or I'll be using them as giveaways on live streams on whatnot. So as always, guys, I really appreciate you guys tuning in and hanging out. Hopefully with the tag returns, they'll go a lot better and it'll be a lot more upbeat and fun. You know, I'm really interested to hear your guys' thoughts on the submission and what the return was. So please, again, like, share, subscribe, and definitely comment. Leave your comments down below and, you know, let me know what you guys think. Yeah. So thanks again for tuning in, guys, and peace. We'll see you on the next one.